Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. So sit back and relax or walk and listen and join me on this journey as we try to answer this never-ending question: what makes people say, why not? Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So today I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about seasonal affective disorder, how I find it affects me, some of the symptoms, and also things you can do to combat that. So if you have been feeling a bit low and you're not sure why, this could be the reason, and hopefully you will find this episode helpful. Hi guys, welcome back to Why Not. So this week I am actually a little bit late recording this podcast. I normally have them done in advance, but yeah, last week I was all wrapped up and building up to the World Cup final, quarter final, and then I was very overly upset over the fact that we lost. And I'm not here to talk about rugby. I could analyse the game till the cows come home, but you know, one of the reasons I mention it is because I think what it's highlighted to me is nothing to do with rugby, but basically every year, and I'm aware of this and I know it happens, as soon as I start seeing the kind of days get shorter, I get a bit in a funk. So I was kind of using the World Cup for the last couple of weeks as a distraction to not feeling good. So I'm sure we've all heard of seasonal affective disorder now. I am definitely someone who suffers from it and have done for many years. I only realised a couple of years ago, and instead of doing things to help myself, I have been avoiding dealing with it, and it all culminated in me being overly emotionally invested and overly upset when Ireland went out at the World Cup. So that's the only reason I am talking about the World Cup. But it's interesting to see that even though the fact that I know it happens to me every year, I still do not do anything about it. So I'm going to talk about some of the things you can do, should do, not that I've been doing, but better for you. And I'm also going to actually, first off, we're going to talk a little bit about what seasonal affective disorder is, because there could be a lot of people here listening who actually don't realise they have it. Maybe they just think they get the blues, I don't know. But if it's something that you know about, it's something you can work to alleviate and, you know, make your life a little bit easier and be ready for it when it comes, I suppose, is the other thing. So basically, seasonal affective disorder it's a type of depression, or a kind of, that is brought on by the kind of change in weather, the darkness. So it always starts, kind of when the autumn starts, and then it kind of alleviates when things get bright again. Now, it can be very manageable. You might only find a little bit, but sometimes it is more severe in other people. Some of the signs that you may be suffering from SADS are all very similar to the signs of depression, because it is a kind of depressive disorder. But if you have a persistent low mood, if you are losing pleasure or interest in normal everyday life, if you're a little bit more irritable, by the way, these are all listed on the HSE website, just in case anyone's looking for it. If you're feeling despair, guilt and worthlessness for no reason, sometimes that can happen. Obviously, these are one more the severe ones here that are coming in. If you are thinking of, unaliving, that can also obviously is a sign of depression, but if it's only brought on this time of the year, that's also, another thing. Low self-esteem, feeling tearful. If you're feeling stressed or anxious, and maybe you do have reasons for that, or maybe just out of the blue you feel that way, it could be this as well. Reduced sex drive is another one there. That's a big one. People don't seem to want to be interested in that when they are depressed. And becoming less sociable. So this is one of the big ones I think people do recognize, and that is people just kind of disappear and withdraw into themselves. So like if you notice that you don't want to see people anymore, or maybe even you notice a friend that kind of feels like they've pulled back, this could be a sign of it as well. So again, with all these things, it's all about reaching out, or if you're feeling that way, which is something again I'm not very good at and I don't like admitting, so I don't tend to do it, but reach out. Or if you're worried about someone and you haven't heard from them much, reach out to them and be like, hey, are you all right? Just how's things? Even just as the Hey campaign says, just say, hey, how are you? See how they're feeling. And there are a few like other symptoms that people don't always associate, but could actually be part of it. Now it could be anything, but if it is something that you've noticed and it only really starts when things get darker outside and the weather and all that kind of stuff, so you might notice that you're like less active than normal, or if you're feeling really like lethargic and like sleepy during the day, like you feel like you need a nap to get through the day, that can be a sign as well. If you're sleeping for longer than normal and find it hard to get up in the morning, again, another sign that you should just be aware of. Look at everything on a wider scale with all these things, because you could be finding it hard to get up because you went to bed late, or you could be finding it hard to get up because like you had a really busy day. So like just because you struggle to get up one day doesn't necessarily mean it's it, but just look at your life on a wider scale if it is something. And like if you're finding it like hard to concentrate or have an increased appetite, again, these are other things to just look out for. Again, just because you're more hungry, it could have been you were actually more active that day, so it's not necessarily a sign. None of these are set in stone type signs, so just keep an eye on it if you're kind of not sure or you think they could be symptoms. Some of them are, sometimes they're not, but as I said with this, try to keep, maybe even start a little like a mood diary, or note how you're feeling every day. Notice if it changes depending on certain circumstances, or can you pinpoint when you started feeling like this? Is there, say for instance, something going on in your family? Is work really stressful? These could all be reasons that you are feeling like this that have nothing to do with symptoms of SAD. So it is really worth, just as I said, taking a big whole look at your life and everything that's going on in your life, not contemplating your life, but if you are struggling, look at everything on a whole and don't just go, oh, this is it. I'm that's it, I have a problem. Again, with these things, identifying them is half the battle, but also when you identify it, it's not a reason to throw the baby out the bathwater, to just give up on everything. You can work around it and work with it. So it's very important to remember that, like, just because you have a diagnosis per se, it's not you, it's some part of you, and it doesn't stop you from doing anything. You just might need to work around it a bit more, or you may not be nicer to yourself some days, or maybe some days you just need to go on and power through. So it's just really important to remember that as well. Like, this is not a reason to stop trying and doing anything. It's not a bad thing. You are not a bad person if you suffer from this. It's just part of who you are. So now we've kind of like discussed the symptoms and kind of what SAD is. There are like kind of obviously different things we can do to, I suppose, combat it or alleviate some of the feelings. And first off, there has been light therapy that's come out recently. It's like a specialised thing that you can get, and you put yourself in front of it, and that can apparently help. I don't know much about it, but that's one of the things. Another one is like sunlight exposure. So part of the reason causing it is the lack of seeing sun, lack of natural daylight. Want to try and get out there when you can. Yeah, I know the weather can be shit sometimes. I know you might be working, but if you can get out for even a 10-20 minute walk, it can just make you feel so much better. So try and get out there. Don't just sit in, and obviously when you don't feel good, it's really hard to motivate yourself to get out in nature and stuff like that. But like, even on the cloudy days, it can do the world of good. Like, how often have you felt really, really bad about something and you've gone for a walk or done something like that and you just feel a bit better? This is no different, and it's really, really important to think about that, especially, like, as I said, when the days are darker and stuff. Just get out, get some fresh air, stop sitting in that one room or maybe several rooms. Now, this is one that I have, like, it's been linked kind of in a sense. So sometimes having low levels of vitamin D, there's kind of some links that are potentially with depression and low mood. And one of those reasons that it can be so prevalent with SAD is the fact that during October to April, I think it is, we do not get enough sunlight exposure, sunshine, vitamin D from where we are. So basically everyone in Ireland, the UK, kind of more northern countries are advised to actually take a vitamin D supplement. This also can help you with your immune system, and you'll hear a lot of people talking about vitamin D at the moment. So it can also, as I said, there is been links made between that and low mood and depression. So if you can take a vitamin D supplement, that can also help, and also it'll help your immune system. So very, very important. Another thing that's quite important is having a regular schedule. So, if you have a good kind of like daily schedule, now obviously some days are going to be different than others, it makes it a lot easier for your body to maintain like certain sleep schedules then, and then obviously it stops you staying up half the night and having really like bad sleep, or just obviously it's very easy to get into a bad routine of not sleeping enough, and then when you don't sleep enough you'll end up craving like high sugar foods, get quick energy, and then you might have like crashes through the day. Now there's nothing wrong with sugar, nothing wrong with having it, but like this can turn into a vicious cycle that can make you feel worse and worse. Whereas if you have good sleep, good routines, good meals set out through the day, you are going to feel better, you're going to feel more energized. Knowing what you're doing every day is really, really good for the brain, because it just, having a structure is really good. Especially I find it myself as well, I love having a structure. If I know this what I'm doing, it makes me more focused. If you've other tasks to do, you can fit them in here and here. Obviously not every day is perfect, you don't always get the run you want, but where you can, like with work and stuff like that, how can you structure your life to make it a little bit easier? And I'm telling you now, it makes things so much easier. Like, going with the flow is great and all, but it's just chaos. So do try and set that schedule up, try and set a structure. It may seem really annoying and boring, but it'll actually help you feel better about yourself. So it's really, really important. And obviously with that structure as well, we want to kind of get exercise in. Now, you knew I was going to sneak this in somehow, but it is like, it's important. And we all know that exercise releases serotonin, so you'll feel good after it. Obviously now when it's cold and dark, the last thing you want to do is get up and go out. And like, I horse ride as well, and I pretty much have to like repeat the mantra, I love my horse, I love my horse, I love my horse, during the winter. But you never regret going and doing something. So again, fit that in, make it part of your schedule, just like you schedule everything else. It should be part of your schedule, not saying, I might do this at some point. Make a schedule, stick to it, okay? Go for a walk. Even it could be just, I'm going to go meet my friend for a stroll. You might have an event about work and then you feel better. All these little things like that. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour gym workout where you crawl out. It doesn't have to be a run or anything. It could literally be just meeting a mate for a walk, or even going on a walk on your own for a little podcast. Big fan of that, love doing that. So, and again, we're getting out then, and if you get it in the middle of the day, you'll get some sunshine, or maybe rain. Probably rain, we're in Ireland, but again, just very, very important. And like I was saying as well, like this leads with the nutrition as well. Like I said, try and get as much balanced. That was the whole part of the routine as well. Like, get full nutritional meals. You want your protein, you want your carbs, you want your fats, you want your vegetables, loads of nutrients, so you feel full and you feel good when you're just going about your day-to-day life, which is really, really important. And obviously, again, this links in with the sleep, because if your sleep stodgy, it can be hard to, it'll knock everything else out. And I know this for myself, because again, it's something that's affected me for the last while, and I'm trying to get on top of it. Hopefully we're slowly getting there, but it is very, very important. Make sure that you get all these things together. Like, there's no point, like you can obviously, all will help, all of them will help you, but you want to get the three on point as much as you can, and it'll really make a massive difference, because you can't just completely ignore one while just focusing on two others. Okay, that's just a really big thing. And again, obviously with the exercise, me talking about going out for a walk, getting out to see people, socialise, talking to people, going to classes or whatever, like anything you can do. Join a team. I've joined a tag rugby team recently. I don't know anyone, but it's a bit of crack. I'm learning something new. I feel like a feckin' twat because I can't catch a ball, despite the fact that I have been training and played sports and been horse riding my whole life. I can't seem to catch a ball, which is mortifying, but it gets me out, it gets me trying something new, and it's a challenge and it's scary, but I'm committed to it and it's fun. So do not be afraid, and like, if you have a friend that has similar activity or interests as you, try and grab them to get them to go with you. Or if you want to be like me and just go and try something, you can. That's what I did. It's something that's very, very nerve-wracking for me, but I seem to be there anyway. But yeah, it is very, very important, especially if you do suffer from that kind of isolation feeling, you feel lonely. Again, reach out to people, talk to them, see how they are, even if it's just general conversation. Sometimes you'll just feel a bit better. Just really, really important, especially, as I said, this time of the year when it can be dark and dreary, and it can feel really hard to want to reach out or talk to people, because you're just like, ugh. Now obviously there are like other things that like you might find helpful as well, kind of mindfulness, meditation, those kind of things. Some people really enjoy doing that, doing yoga, deep breathing. They can find that really, really helpful. Or even kind of things like stress relievers, like journaling can be really, really helpful. As like getting out and talking to people, these kind of things can be really, really helpful. Or even sometimes things that help you manage stress could be the likes of going to the gym or doing something just you enjoy and not feeling guilty about it. Like, sometimes you just have to tell people no as well, and just do something for you if you don't want to do something, not sit there scrolling on your phone and look at an Insta. I mean, do something like drawing or journaling, or just seeing how you feel. All really, really important. Reflecting, having a look at everything, from a like nice point of view. And I say having a look at everything, kind of looking at everything in a wider view, not doing it to judge yourself, just to be like, what is here? Have a look out at everything. Things are generally not as bad as you think they are. So if you are feeling really down, sometimes it does help to like write it down and have a look and go reflect on how far you are and how far you've come, and if you're not where you want to be, what can you do to bring it forward? That's getting very deep, but just to say, just remember that as well. And obviously, if you're finding the symptoms are far more severe, and anything like these aren't working for you, or you can't even get yourself motivated to try any of it, it could be time to look at professional help. Obviously, I am not a psychiatrist, psychologist, any of them, psychotherapist, but maybe you do need to go and look into therapy, or you might need some medication, because it might not just be SAD, it could be something more severe, and that's okay too. But you need to acknowledge it first and go forward and put steps in place to help yourself help you, instead of bottling it down, because it doesn't work. I know it doesn't. And like, it's easier to bottle it down and, you know, repeat the process, but it hasn't worked before. Just like I say, those diets that people are saying, I do it again because it worked. It hasn't worked. This hasn't worked for you either. This hasn't worked for me. That's why I'm trying to talk about it now, to the great void, because it's easier to talk to that than someone, you know. But if you need to, as I said, do seek professional help. Do not feel bad about it. It is really, really important, and it could make the world a difference for you and the people around you as well. So do think about that if it is something that you're finding is far too much on you. And with that, I think I'm going to leave this very happy episode here. I am, as ever, guys, you know, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok. You will mainly find me on my Strong in the Saddle Instagram, so that's at Strong in the Saddle _, and you will find me on TikTok at Strong in the Saddle out the _. I also have another Instagram, which is Christy H Fitness, and you will also find me on my website if you want to find out more about working with me, and the name is www.christyhawkins.com. So I hope you found this episode interesting. I hope you found it helpful, and hopefully it helps someone. I feel better now for getting it off my chest and talking about it, so thank you for being my therapist. I'm joking. I really do appreciate everybody who listens to this podcast, so if you please could help me with the algorithm and leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And even, you know, if you want to reach out and suggest topics for me, I'd be delighted to hear from you. Drop me a DM on Instagram or TikTok, and thanks again for listening.